Hey, it's me, Maggie J. Today with a collection of Thanksgiving-themed Am I the Asshole posts from Reddit. I have edited these so it won't be in first person, and I've tried to eliminate all the weird Reddit speak that can get kind of confusing. I also tried to film this without giving my opinion, but that is not something that I can do, so we're gonna discuss who is right and who is the asshole. Story number 1. Am I the asshole for calling my son's wife disrespectful for bringing her own food to my Thanksgiving dinner? Tina, who is 45, her son Tim is 23, and recently got married to Sarah, who is 22. They get along just fine as a family, though Sarah tends to act passive-aggressively sometimes. She loves food and has always been open to trying Tina's cooking before. Sarah has liked some things and made suggestions for changes that she would make to other dishes, and everything seemed fine on the food front. Tina invited them over for Thanksgiving yesterday. When they arrived, Sarah had brought a container with her. Tina didn't ask about it or pay much attention. When everyone sat down to eat, Tina says the main dish was a traditional Thanksgiving dish every family in their community knows, along with appetizers, sides, salad, and dessert. Sarah then put her container on the table and started unloading food onto her empty plate. Tina asked what she was doing. Sarah said she brought her own food since she knows she wasn't going to eat what Tina cooked. Tina asked if there was a specific reason, like a dietary or allergy or maybe an illness she was unaware of, but Sarah just said no and smiled smugly, which made Tina mad. She told Sarah that it was disrespectful of her to bring food to the Thanksgiving dinner that Tina was hosting. Sarah argued that she gets to eat whatever she wants, whenever she wants. Tina says this is about basic respect and decency. The husband, Tim, asked Sarah to at least try some of the dishes, but she lashed out, telling him they were being unbelievable by deciding what she should eat and forcing her to take it. Sarah then grabbed her stuff, excused herself, and walked out. Tim quietly followed her and they went home. Tina's husband said she should have just let it go and not commented on Sarah's food choice. He said she made dinner awkward by focusing on it so much. But Tina says she couldn't help but feel disrespected in her own home. Tim, the son, wants Tina to talk to Sarah to clear the confusion, but Tina doesn't think there was any confusion at all. She thinks Sarah deliberately chose to humiliate her by not eating her food that she spent all day cooking. I think that Tina is being elusive about the details here. What is this traditional Thanksgiving dish that all the families in their community know about? I feel like if it was turkey or ham or lasagna, she would have said that because that's traditional Thanksgiving fare. And so what she said is weird. What community does she belong to? Also, what kind of food did Sarah bring? Was it the exact same kind of food? Or was it something like more traditional Thanksgiving? I think that both of them handled this whole situation poorly, but Sarah is the smaller asshole in comparison to Tina. Tim is in for a rough road ahead, but what do you think? Who's the asshole here? Story number 2. Am I the asshole for going to my family's Thanksgiving instead of my husband's? Pam is 38, married to Jim, who's 40, and they've been celebrating Thanksgiving with his family since they've been together. They spend Christmas with her family, and they cannot combine the families because they do not get along. Pam does not want to go to Thanksgiving with Jim's family this year because she is a vegetarian, and they always pick on her for bringing her own food to the dinner. Also, since the birth of Pam and Jim's daughter 5 years ago, they make Pam sit at the kids' table. Pam's family will be celebrating with some extended family at a lake house that is about an hour away, so she wants to take her and her daughter there instead of to her family's gathering, and Jim is not happy about it. He told her his mother was making her a special vegetarian meal just for her, and then the mother-in-law calls to say that she and her husband's feelings are hurt, and now Jim is threatening to not spend Christmas with her family. So this is turning into quite a mess. I am appalled by the level of disrespect Jim's family is directing at Pam, just on the regular. And I'm really wondering why Jim is not doing a damn thing about this. These people make fun of his wife for bringing her own food to a meal that they won't accommodate her for, because of her vegetarianism. That's rude. And the fact that she has to sit at the kids' table because she has a daughter. Is Jim sitting at the kids' table with her? Or is he allowed to sit at the adult table because this is a Pam problem? Oh, I'm getting heated. Pam doesn't even seem to think that she's being abused here. And that is what's really sad to me, because this is going to bleed down to her daughter, that you never stand up to daddy's family because they're emotional manipulators and it's just easier for you to do what they want you to. Pam is not the asshole here. Jim and every other person in his family that thinks it's okay to make fun of Pam and make her sit at the kids' table, you are all the assholes. And Pam needs to get herself a whole big dose of self-confidence and stop letting people treat her so poorly. That is my opinion, but I am also open to hearing what you have to say, especially if it's about Pam standing up for herself. Jeez Louise, this is terrible. Story 3. Am I the asshole for ruining Thanksgiving? Rick and Donna were together for 20 years, but a couple of years ago, things came to an end, and he has since moved on with someone that he used to know named Julie, and they are recently married. He was very excited to take his new wife to spend more time with his family, since their ability to visit was limited due to COVID, but has just found out that his family has invited his ex to dinner as well. He understands that it's been 20-ish years Donna has been spending her holidays with these people, so he's wondering if he's being an asshole by not wanting her to be there, as he thinks it will cause an awkward situation for his new wife Julie, who hasn't had the time to get familiar with many of his family members. The family thinks that Julie should just suck it up, because if they don't go, it will ruin the day. Julie says she does not mind staying home, but Rick refuses to leave her behind. So who's the asshole here? I'm a little torn on this because I understand Rick's position. He wants his wife to be there. He just has a different wife than he did 2 years ago, which is something that this family is going to have to get used to. I wonder if his family would say that the day would be ruined without Donna being there. And did they really say it would be ruined if they, as in Rick and Julie, weren't there? Or it would just be ruined if he, as in Rick by himself, wasn't there? Or maybe they meant they, as in Rick and Donna. Without all the information, I could speculate all day, but I would probably show up late and leave early from this dinner, especially if the ex is going to be there the whole time. But what do you think? Who's in the wrong here? Am I the asshole for not wanting to do Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' without my wife? Okay, this story starts a few years back when Amy rented an apartment from Mary, but never paid her any more money after the initial move-in. Amy got evicted and had a judgment placed against her for a lot more money than she had, so she absolutely hated the landlady Mary. Well, at some point after those 4 months, Amy's brother Josh went to pick up Amy's belongings at that house that she never paid for. The landlady, Mary, had to let him in, and they got to talking, and sparks flew, and 6 years later, here they are, married with a 3-year-old son. Amy still hates Mary, though, and hasn't even seen her brother in years due to this relationship with the landlady who ruined her life. This last year, Amy broke up with a long-term boyfriend, which isn't the greatest thing to deal with on top of everything else that's been going on. So her parents have been giving in to just about all the requests that Amy's been having, hoping it'll help her cope and get back to being herself. Amy hasn't really participated in any of the family functions since Josh and Mary have been together, but given that she's nowhere else to go, she's going to her parents, where Josh and Mary have been celebrating for the last 6 years together. Due to the breakup, the parents have asked that only Josh come to dinner, not his wife or son, so that they can have a family dinner together without any extra stress for Amy, who does not want to see Mary or Josh's new son. But Josh is not okay with this. He does not mind not going to dinner so Amy can spend the whole holiday with their parents. But she is insisting that he has to come. He's an asshole if he doesn't, and she will not budge that she doesn't want to see Mary or their child. I really don't think there needs to be much discussion here. Amy is a spoiled brat and being enabled by her parents. Stay home, Josh. Maybe next year as well, since obviously your parents are incapable of setting a good example of how you treat family. Since I believe your son's wife and your child together also count as family. But maybe I'm taking it a little bit too personally here. What do you think? Is it ever okay to ask your son to leave his wife and child at home to appease the immature feelings of your daughter who has made no effort to change after she took advantage of Mary and screwed her over legally? You tell me. My boyfriend says there will be serious consequences if I cancel an early Thanksgiving dinner with his friends because of my severe anxiety. Ted is 34, and Mandy, who is 36, have been dating long distance for 8 months. Mandy thought it would be a nice idea to invite Ted and his friends over for Thanksgiving. They live kind of scattered apart, but the meal would be a good reason for them all to get together so she could meet them and hopefully leave a good impression with his friends. She agreed to pay for their hotel stay and a big brunch at the hotel, so I don't think she's doing any cooking or having to have everybody stay at her house. Unfortunately, Mandy has severe anxiety and depression, so the stress of this impending dinner, all of the planning and paying and meeting of these strangers, it's overwhelming her. She can barely sleep, she's constantly nauseous, and she's having to take extra Xanax every day while dealing with this. A few days before the event, she asked Ted if they could cancel this whole thing because it is just way too much for her to handle, and he was not happy to hear that news. He told her canceling would be embarrassing for him, and there would be serious consequences, quote unquote. So now, on top of being a nervous wreck, she's worried what these consequences could be, and if she's being an asshole here. First of all, where are your parents to tell you that spending a ton of money on your online boyfriend and his friends to spend the night at a hotel is not a good idea? Never, ever spend your money on someone who you meet online. I don't care what the situation is. That is a hard no every time. No. Second of all, serious consequences? Who is this person? Your father? What is he gonna do to you if you don't spend a ton of money showing him and his friends a good time? You guys are long distance and he is treating you like a doormat. I suggest you break this off and find yourself someone who doesn't threaten serious consequences when you try to take care of your fragile mental health. Oh my God! I could not believe the number of responses that this post got that told her that she should go through with this because she made this commitment. I wonder if those were just his friends making the replies, but what do you think? Is Mandy in the wrong here? Is Ted in the wrong? Would you or could you accept an all-expenses-paid retreat if you knew the person who paid for your room and board had had a mental breakdown due to the stress of it all? I honestly don't know, because I'm a cheapskate, but I also have a very guilty conscience. I don't know if I could handle that. Am I the asshole for wanting to make Thanksgiving dinner for my husband's family? Ruth, age 59, has invited her family over for a late Thanksgiving meal for many years due to them all going other places throughout the day. She doesn't usually cook a big meal, and this year she plans to get some frozen lasagnas for the get-together. Her daughter-in-law, Lucy, has offered to help make a bigger, more traditional meal because she thinks that Ruth deserves turkey and stuffing. Ruth's son, Chris, Lucy's husband, thinks that Lucy is overstepping her bounds. He wants his mother to celebrate the holiday however she wants. Do you think Lucy's being an asshole for trying to help do more for Ruth? Or maybe Ruth is being ungrateful for not accepting the help? Is everyone an asshole? Or maybe none of them are. They just have their own preferences for what holiday constitutes. I really don't know. I say let the old lady have her meal, but also, if Lucy's gonna cook this meal and bring it to you, I am unsure. Am I the asshole for not wanting to accompany my daughter to have Thanksgiving with my ex-girlfriend? Steve and Wendy had a child when they were 17, and when the child was around 3 years old, Wendy disappeared. Steve took care of the child all this time, and Rachel is now 18 years old. Wendy recently reached out over social media to invite Rachel to visit her for the holiday. Rachel is more than excited and wants Steve to go on this visit with her, but he is hesitant to let his daughter fly off to wherever Wendy is after all these years of no contact, and while he is willing to pay for her plane ticket, he does not want to go with her. He wants to know if he's being an asshole here. I think Steve needs to make up his mind whether he's going to be a father or a whiner. Step up and take your child to visit their mother. Or tell her you're not going to help her rebuild her relationship with her mother because she could have put forth effort at any time. Trying to convince your daughter not to go and refusing to go with her but still offering to buy her a plane ticket, I feel like he's trying to set her up so that he can say, I told you not to go if it goes terribly, which is a dangerous game to play, especially if Wendy proves to be a loving, emotionally supportive person. Also, somebody reaches out to your 18-year-old daughter and says, come fly out to see me and I will show you the time of your life. This sounds like a trafficking situation, sir. So maybe you should go with her just for her own safety and then, play it by ear from there. But I don't know. What do you think? Who's the asshole here? Steve, Wendy, or Rachel? Am I wrong for wanting my wife and I to spend Thanksgiving with her dad and his family? Leon and Tanya have been divorced for 35 years. Their daughter April has a husband named Troy, and for the last 10 years, they've celebrated the majority of their Thanksgiving Day with Tanya and her husband. April and Troy travel for about 2 hours to her hometown and visit Leon for about an hour in the morning on Thanksgiving, and then head over to Tanya's and spend all the rest of the day there. April is more than happy with this arrangement because even after 35 years, Tanya still hates Leon, so her daughter spending time with him on holidays seems like a betrayal in her eyes. Leon is actually a cool guy, though. He and Troy have a great time together, bonding over sports and such, and Leon asks them every year if they could spend more than an hour with him. Troy told April he thinks they should spend at least one holiday with her dad, but she is adamant that her mother would be upset. So he told her she could go on to her mother's house without him because he was going to enjoy his holiday with Leon. Troy says he doesn't even care if he's the asshole here. He just wanted to put this up for discussion, or validation more like, because I think he's totally in the right. They've got to travel 2 hours to see either parent, and it seems utterly petty and absolutely rude to the relationship between April and Leon for Tanya to still be dictating how much time her daughter can spend with her father on a holiday. April is also being kind of a twat by not listening to her husband's wishes and wanting to spend his holiday where he has had so much fun. But what do you think? Is Troy being an asshole here? Or is it Tanya? Because I vote Tanya. And a little bit April too. Should I invite my son to Thanksgiving? 18 years ago, a man named Roger was born, and for nearly his entire life, his father, Paul, was unaware of his existence. Roger's grandparents told him his father walked out on him and his mother when he was a baby, and so that's the way that they've carried on. Until the recent death of Roger's mother. That's when it was revealed who his father was, so the two men have been working on their relationship since then. Due to the lies, Roger has cut ties to most of his remaining family, including his grandparents, and the aunt that he lives with is out of town on business, and likely won't be home for the holiday, leaving Roger home alone and without any family to celebrate with. Paul would love to invite Roger over to introduce him to the family he hasn't met yet, but he's worried it might be too soon or too overwhelming. Would it be too much pressure? I am glad to say the responders on Reddit agreed, insisted, and demanded that Paul call Roger immediately and invite him over for the holiday. I do not know the outcome of this story, but I hope that it was an unforgettable event that they get to recreate for many years to come. I will end here on such a potentially positive high note. You don't usually find many of these kind of stories in this corner of the internet, but I had a ton of fun going over these posts with you. Obviously, most of these had a clear-cut right and wrong answer, but there's always room for discussion and debate, so let me know if I'm way out of line here or if these people are way out of line. Click the like button if you happen to enjoy this, or maybe subscribe if you'd like to listen to more Reddit posts not being read by a robot. I'm on my way to go eat more ham. Thank you for watching, and until next time, y'all stay safe out there.